Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are the Harvard Federal Credit Union, and this presentation will be improving your money habits. I just want to say, as we begin, we're really happy to have you here. I am joined by my colleagues Jen Fries and Ty Robinson. And as you are coming in, please take your time. We'll be getting started momentarily, but again, no rush. We're really happy to have you here. So, yep, thanks, Jen. So as I mentioned earlier, we're all CCUFC certified. So Jen Fries is the community engagement manager. Ty Koppelson and I are both community engagement specialists. And the reason why you should potentially listen to us and care about what we have to say is that we are all credit union certified financial counselors. And what that means is we are here to help. We are here to guide you on your journey, and we are here to share our knowledge so that way we can all grow to be financially well individuals, especially during this time of uncertainty and a lot of shifting things going on. Today's webinar, we will be reducing all background noise. So if you are eating, if you are snacking, maybe kids in the background, any dogs barking, it's completely okay. You have all been automatically muted. But if you do have a question and would like to communicate with us, please use the Q&A feature. The chat has been disabled. If you can and you're available and you're comfortable, please use it now to let me know it's working by submitting where you are joining us from. And as I keep going with some housekeeping tips, I'll be calling out where you're joining us from. Also, this presentation will be recorded. If you are busy or a little bit sidetracked and you possibly might have to not stay for the full thing, that's completely okay. We will be recording it and uploading it to our YouTube page, and you will get a link to it in the post-webinar email as well. Speaking of host webinars, we have a post-workshop survey. So let us know how we did. We read any and all feedback, and we would like to enjoy this so that we can continue to deliver value to you and learn how we can make this that much better. I'm going to check the Q&A now. It looks like we have someone joining us from Florida. Thank you for joining us. That's very far away. Also, a little bit about the credit. Oh, and I see someone from Boston. Nice. So we are Harvard's only not-for-profit financial institution. What that means is we are community focused. We are here for you, our members, to empower you. And once a member, always a member, even if you leave your job. I know you are all joining us from the Longwood medical community, so you are all eligible for membership, and that membership also extends to your family as well. We also offer some pretty great products and services, in my opinion, which is free access to ATMs nationwide, credit cards or cashback rewards, and we also offer some high yield savings accounts as well. And we are very accessible. We are located in the Harvard Square, around the LMA area as well. And we also, if you participate in share branching, you can access us even if you travel. So, Thrive Financial Wellness. This is our big umbrella of what it means to access us and learn. We partner with GreenPath, and this is our entire workshop of things to say, how do you learn to live your best money life? We offer free financial counseling, blogs and workshops, worksheets and calculators, and short online videos. You can access all of that and more visiting harvardfcu.org/thrive. So this is all unique to you, and if you're in the LMA area, you can access this, and please, I encourage you to jump in and see what you're willing to learn. Thank you, Jen. If you need that link, it is currently in the chat right now. So this presentation will be talking about behavioral economics. We'll discuss your money personalities and how they impact to you and your relationship with money in terms of financial decisions. We'll also be discussing some tips and tricks so that way we can discover how to potentially improve your money habits so that way it works along with you so that way you can achieve your goals. We're going to start out by taking the Quant's Money Script quiz. So this is just the beginning, so that way we can discover, all right, where are you right now? Let's orient ourselves before we go on this journey. And if you have your phone, please scan the QR code. And if you don't have access to your phone, and you don't want to scan the QR code, totally understand. Jen has now put that link in the chat. Thank you, Jen. And once you take the quiz, it's about eight-ish, 8 or 11 short questions, and you will have one or two top scoring money personalities of the four apostle personalities.
Hey, Terrence, I'm coming on screen now. Hi, everybody. I'm Jen. Figured that since we were going to, I think, next talk a little bit about our own money personalities, I would jump on and say hello to everybody.
Absolutely. Hi, Jen. How you doing? Happy Tuesday.
I'm doing great. Thank you. Better because I know my money personality and how to how to use that knowledge.
Definitely. Okay. So these are the four money personalities. Mind you, there is no bad money personality. There are no bad money personalities. It's just, it is what it is. My personal money personalities, I test high when it comes to money status and money worship. Money status is equating net worth to self-worth. And how this kind of manifests for me is that I can tend to choose the most highest paying job for the sake of it being, the highest dollar amount that I earn. However, it may not be the job that aligns the most with my values and my core. But because this money status thing is driving me, I might be quick to say yes to something that truly may not be what I want long term. And also money worship, where I believe money will solve problems. How this manifests for me is that I can be quick to throw money at a problem and hope that it will provide the best solution, even if money may not be called for or necessary to actually solve that solution. And this is not a good or bad thing, just information that I am aware of. So that way, when these scripts are kind of running in the background, I can have a moment of, well, wait a minute. Is this me or is this my money personality talking? Jen, what are yours?
Yeah, so I also want to say if anybody wants to throw your results once you get your results, it's not that many questions. You can share your results in the Q&A if you want, or if you want to ask a question about what it might mean. So I'm kind of the flip side of Terrence. I tend to test high also on two things, and they are two things that it seems counterintuitive at first that they would go together, but they actually often frequently do test together. Mine are the money avoidance and money vigilance. And I'll say a little bit about money vigilance. It does mean that I tend to be on top of my finances, looking at it regularly. The flip side or, the downside for me might be anxiety about money, and it may also be people who are money vigilant are more likely to be secretive about their finances, which is not always ideal if you're with a partner or have parents or other family members that you need to be able to discuss money with. Um, all of these personalities come from sort of things that we heard about money when we were young and things that we internalize, right? So anyway, so being aware of that makes me more proactive and making sure I talk to my partner about finances and things that we need to split or share. I also test high on money avoidance. In my case, some people it means like literally like not opening bills because they're nervous about them or just that's their way of dealing with it. Um, in my case, it is more, you can also test high on that if it's something like you sort of feel guilty about hoarding money and you think it might be wrong to have too much in savings. Um, but that instinct may not always be right about what is the right amount in savings for you.
Hmm.
It's this very back of the brain thing that happens. So um if for me, just being aware of that I'll have this instinct if I get over a certain amount of savings, like I should be giving it away, when in fact that state savings is what gives stability to me and my child. For a long time, I was a single mom, and just having adequate savings was really key to having a nice, stable life. We see that one of our participants feels that they scored uncomfortably high in money worship. And I just want to emphasize again that these, I don't know why, but these personality types sound really bad.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like I feel like it's not, none of them sound terribly flattering. Um, but again,
These
just being aware that you might have some of those traits and maybe things you heard as when you were younger or coming up about the importance of money and putting money at the center or feeling like money equals security will solve problems, sometimes true up to a certain level, and then maybe at a certain point it's not serving you. So just
Mhm,
we're going to talk a little bit about different ways to address things based on your money personality. And then,
absolutely.
and then we have someone who's split between kind of between three, interesting, with money avoidance and money vigilance being very high, and money worship also being pretty high.
Hmm.
So you might have heard a lot of different scripts about money, and I'm using the word script too because a lot of the psychological research that this money personality quiz is based on, the behavioral economics research, they actually, the original psychologists who did it, used the word script, not personality. So it wasn't like dividing people into types. It was more what things do you think in your head about money.
Yeah.
And
What's that voice in the back of your head that's kind
yeah,
of like running and saying, "Ooh, this is how money should be spent." N-
yes. Or,
Nothing
this
right or
is too
wrong.
extravagant, or this isn't, or whatever it might be, right? So,
Hmm.
um, and so if you score high, someone is asking it, what does it mean if you score high on money worship and money vigilance? So again, you might be frugal, focused on saving, maybe pretty attentive or worried, maybe anxious about money. That's the vigilance side.
Hmm.
On the worship side, you may also think that you need to go for the highest salary position, that you money is the most important thing. It can also on the flip side be like you don't want to, you want to save as much money as possible because you believe that money is going to solve your problems. So some of these work in some situations for us or help us to
Hmm.
in our financial life, and we're going to talk a little bit more about how some of these play out, and sometimes it won't. I definitely recommend you read some of the underlying research. It's called the Klontz money scripts, and if you Google it, you can actually see more in much more detail about each of these types, sort of some of the things that you're prone to maybe, and some of the things that are not as much of an issue. But I think a lot of it is self-awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And what we're getting at with this presentation is
yeah,
not that if you just stop buying coffee, everything's going to suddenly be okay. That's not what this presentation is going to be about. It's more going to be about the nitty, not the nitty gritty, but the intricacies of how your relationship is with money and how how that relationship can be framed and what kind of boxes do they fall in and how can we introduce some techniques that will work with your box for your burning personality.
yeah. And just a final thing on that person, anyone who scores high on money vigilance, it's not just a partner. Are you talking to them about finances? But it might also be when your kid's getting ready to go to college. Are you able to have genuine conversations with them about money and like what you can afford to pay for college and what you can't? So are you feeling secretive or can you maybe open up? And even if you're feeling that secrecy, you might be like, rationally say to yourself, it would be better if we talked about this. I'm divorced, and like being able to talk with the other parent too about what's happening with money and college for our kid that we're raising together, is important. So, yeah. Okay. I think that is everybody that wanted to comment right now.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about like how do you apply this, right? So,
How to maximize your money personality.
yeah.
So, as we begin, oh no, yeah, Jen, this is your, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I will. So we wanted to make sure there was some time for folks on this webinar for you to take a moment. You signed up for this webinar, you want to know more about your financial life and improve your wellness. So if you don't already know it, take a minute and think about some of your financial goals. It does actually help if you write them down. Um, for whatever reason, the process of writing our goals down helps us to get closer to them or keep them in our mind. Um, so take a moment, write down your financial goals. If you want to put them into the Q&A, we're happy to talk about some of your particular goals and refer back to them as we go through.
Hmm.
So I'm going to share one of my goals. Let's say one of my goals is to save for a vacation. That's a good goal, but I'm going to be more specific. I go every year on a long weekend trip with friends, and we typically do it in June. So we have one coming up, which is mostly paid for. I want to save for the next year's one, June 2026, $1,100. And we'll talk about sort of how I go through that process. But a goal will usually have a date like that and an amount. So not just I want to save money, but I would like to save this X amount by this date. Um, and yeah, we have someone on here who has a goal of being debt free, which is a great one.
Hmm.
And you might even get more specific in your goal setting where you're going to find out or make sure you know all of your debts and what the interest rates are. We actually have a whole presentation on this. This presentation won't go in depth into that, but we have a presentation about paying down debt. We're also going to give you a resource at the end with our partner GreenPath if you want to get some debt counseling from them for free. They are a nonprofit, so they're great, and we'll tell you about them. But that's a great goal. And once you become debt free, you'll feel so much lighter and like you can achieve all kinds of other goals, right? So,
Absolutely. That is also one of my goals too.
yeah.
One of my goal, right? I just recently acquired a new car, uh, right before the tariffs happened. So kind of really looked into that. And I want to pay it off in half the time. So I am making twice the required monthly payment every single month to save off interest and save on time as well. So that way I don't have a car payment anymore.
Right.
And one of the ways I did that was by taking, okay, how much of a loan did I have? And I think it's 20,000. And what's my payment gonna be? And I think it was like 375 for 6 years. And I know I can put in $500 and say, okay, cool. And that extra, I think 120 is going every every month, and that is just straight towards the principal. And little by little I should be debt free by summer of 2027. See, so I said also that to say my goal was to pay down my car in half the time, to also communicate, all right, this is my timeline, this is how I'm going to do it. And we'll talk about it later, where what happens if I don't meet my goal in the timeline that I have set for myself.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, okay. So, another technique that is very helpful is writing down the behaviors you want to improve. So for me, that money avoidance side, also coupled with just some other organizational challenges that I have, I, in saving for a trip, especially when I was younger and I didn't have these strategies, it would be very chaotic. I would forget about it and maybe not start at an early enough date. And one of the things I've learned is I just really need to get myself set up for success by doing some planning. So the name that they give for this in behavioral economics is pre-commitment. It is pre-committing in advance to a particular course of action. And I guess the most basic kind of pre-commitment is literally setting up time for yourself to do some financial planning or to do it with your partner, or in my case, the other people who are going on the trip with me. So I put on my calendar that at this time and day that I was going to be doing my budgeting for the trip. And I also was going to check in with one of my friends who's often the main planner for these to just check some of my financial assumptions for the trip. So it can be setting time to work on your finances,
Mhm.
especially if you're avoidant. making yourself that kind of appointment. And often in that case, it might be good to, if it's an appointment with another person, because then you are more likely to show up and actually do it.
Yeah.
Um, and for me also, because of my avoidant traits, I do find, and actually I believe this helps for most of us, is setting things up on auto deposit and auto pay is really so helpful. So making sure that whether it be your direct deposit, some people don't know this, but your direct deposit can be split between different accounts. So your direct deposit can go into a checking account. It can go into two different checking accounts if you use one for bills. Maybe you
Mhm.
share one with a partner and one for, just sort of mad money or the money you're allowed to spend. Um, your direct deposit can also go into more than one savings account. So you can have one that's specifically for vacation,
Mhm.
as well as your general emergency fund. So for me, I went back and looked at what we spent last year. So like I said, we go on this trip every year, and we spent $617 a piece for our shared expenses, which included our Airbnb, a van rental, because there's a group of us and we just find it fun to be in a van together. And also, a lot of the trips were somewhere where no one has a car available. For the food and alcohol that we got, both when we went out to eat, everyone threw their receipts into that spreadsheet, and if we bought groceries or whatever. So then we add it all up and, all at the end divided up evenly.
Hmm.
So I also spent $500 on airfare though. So all in, I spent $1,117, which if I then go and divide it by the fact that I get paid every other week, 26 pay periods, it's $42 a paycheck for 1 year. So if I start saving now for next June 2026, and put $42 a paycheck on auto deposit, by the time it comes around, I'm in good shape. I'm ready for that trip and I don't have to worry about money. You can do the same thing with debt, though, obviously. You can have an auto payment going toward your highest interest debt. So scheduling time, setting up auto pays is definitely something that we recommend. And it sounds like
Yeah.
you're doing that too, Terrence, with your car payment. Am I right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. I set up a 250 to go every paycheck into an account where the loan is held. It's with Rockland Federal,
Mhm.
and I set it and forgive it. It goes there. I set up the $500 auto pay to feed into the account, and once I set it up once, I literally go about my day, and I check it every couple of months and make sure everything's cycled through. I didn't miss any payments or anything like that. But
Mhm.
that takes no more than at most 4 to 5 minutes if I want to like really dig into it. But 30
And the nice
seconds.
thing about doing it like that with every pay period is that a couple months a year, you will get a whole extra payment in there.
That's
So,
right.
like in May, I know we get paid 3 times. So
Yeah,
depending on the day you set it up, that may be a whole payment that goes to principal. So that is a nice way to kind of really chip away at any debt that you have.
absolutely.
So,
And
okay.
ties it all together, Jen.
Yeah. You want to tell us about this person, Terrence, and their emergency fund?
Sure. So Jen and I are both talking about goals in some way, shape, or form. My goal is to pay down debt, and Jen's goal to have enough money for her trip. And while both goals can be pretty large, and building an emergency fund can also seem like a pretty large and lofty goal, using the technique of having a goal gradient, which is breaking things down to smaller goals, can be really, really useful. And I know we're on the call with the LMA community, so I know you all were bio majors and biochem majors, so I know you had a pretty big workload, and you know what it means to like make things bite-sized, or else you wouldn't have made it this far, right? And with the same techniques that you took when you were going through classes and whatnot, with writing essays and writing papers and studying, you didn't study for that for stoichiometry all at once. You broke it down into little by little. And I'm
That
pretty
a real
sure,
thing?
yes, stoichiometry, organic chem, all that. That's tough. It's not fun stuff. And to be able to apply that same rationality to your finances is appropriate. It is correct. Take it from a 10 $10,000 total goal and break it down to an annual goal of 3,000 and a monthly goal of 250. And if you want to take it a little step further, you could say per pay period 125. And now 10,000 doesn't feel like it's that far away. It feels like, oh, I can $125. If we're all living in Massachusetts, we know $125 sometimes is just the cost to get out to the place that you're going to enjoy a meal, or maybe just the price of a meal by yourself, or like it's expensive to live here. So if we can slowly start to shift and say, I want to apply some of my maybe going out money, my fun money towards building an emergency fund. And again, it doesn't have to happen tomorrow. It can happen gradually over time once you start to kind of adapt to the new level of spending that you have and kind of reduced it, you will continue to keep it going. And you know what the fun part is with this is, yes, if you set aside 125 towards every paycheck towards this, you still will get raises on a regular basis and your income will continue to grow and you can have your emergency fund kind of keep growing along with that. It's really one of the ways where you can kind of, it's the fun part where you can set it, forget it, and you can have that grow without you having some real input into it.
Yeah, and I think we got a question in about adjusting financial goals based on the inflation that we've been experiencing. And, that's real. Some people may need to decrease for a little while what they're putting into savings. Um, Maybe you do that, but so long as you're still making progress to your goal, like maybe you used to put in 250, or originally that's what you thought you were going to be able to do, and you had to bring it down to 200 a month to your, so you're still making progress. And then the rest, in case you needed more money to live on, like,
Mhm. So to answer your question from my perspective a little bit more directly, to address financial goals, is I would take a look at your expenses. That is probably the most tangible way to not inflation proof, but to say, okay, what's going on here? If you can see, for example, if your phone bill is on the higher end where it's maybe 200, $300 per month, maybe you reduce your expenses and you get a cheaper phone plan. Maybe if you were normally eating out, maybe you start cooking a little bit more, which I know is kind of like, the same go to, but starting to take a look at where your money is flowing on a regular basis is going to be the most direct way to start to inflation proof your spending overall.
mhm. And if you scored high on money status and you feel like you're doing certain things um, because of the importance of it, your perceived importance of it showing a certain level of whatever it may be. It may be dressing a certain way, it may be spending a certain way amongst your friends, it may be having a certain kind of party or wedding or whatever it may be. Just at least questioning that, and do I have to do it this way? And is there another thing, given my circumstances right now, that make more sense? And or if you're money avoidant and you don't feel like you want to tell people that, it can really help to open up. This same friends group that I go on the trip with, um, one of the years I was just saying no, I wasn't going to go. This was early on. And one of my friends was pulling out of me a little bit more why. And so I finally admitted to her, I really just didn't feel like I had the money given where I was at the moment. I think had just changed jobs and had been, looking for a job. Um, and my friend was like, I really want you to go. It would really mean a lot to me. And she actually paid a big portion of my cost to come. She was like, would you be willing to come if I paid this for you? And I've never forgotten that. And then when other friends are in that situation, I always try and pay it forward back. I don't know what you say.
Pay it forward. You had it right.
Pay
Yeah.
forward to the universe, because not to the same person
Yeah.
necessarily, but just being aware that sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down, but we can support one another and also have good conversations about like, hey, friend group, do we instead want to start doing like something free together, walks
Hmm.
or like very low cost. Like
Yeah.
instead of going out, let's go to, is anyone into the idea of like potluck at my house with a few bottles of wine or something where it might be much cheaper.
Hmm.
But there may be ways to reduce expenses and still do the things that are meaningful and important to you.
Absolutely.
Um, so,
I
ano
can jump into this one if you want to
okay,
take a
yeah,
little bit break.
yeah.
So planning fallacy. This is underestimating how long it would take you to complete a task. And again, I'm talking to my bio majors on the call. I know sometimes you can, especially the students, you can say, "Hey, I know I'm going to plan or plan for this essay or write this quiz and or do something," and think it's going to take you maybe a couple hours, and then you dive in, you start chewing on, it's like, oh, I see why I was given 2 months to write this essay. This is a lot. And that is the same thing is true when it comes to a finances as well. When it comes to credit card balance transfers, you could say, maybe, you know what, I can pay off all that debt in 6 months. And you say, all right, I'm going to take all the balance from credit card A, transfer it and take advantage of a 0% interest rate on credit card B. But sometimes that 0% interest rate comes with a caveat. We have to pay it off within a year. And then you say, "Oh, I can do that." But if you don't have a plan, or if take or succumbed to a planning fallacy where you underestimate how long it will take, you might find yourself in a position where you're worse off, because when you transfer that balance over, if you don't clear it off by the terms of the or pay off the debt by the terms of the new credit card, you might actually incur more fees based on the original balance that you had that you transferred over. And if you also were using the other credit card as well, you might find yourself in twice the amount of debt. So this is it seems very simple to be like, oh, I just underplanned, but the impacts and the ramifications of underplanning can compound very, very quickly, especially when it comes to money. So to counteract this is to calculate monthly payoff payments. And that means sitting down with how much debt do you have? And is it fun? Is it uncomfortable? Is it fun? No. Is it uncomfortable? Yes. But it's worth doing, because once you are able to wrap your head around it and see it on either an Excel spreadsheet, a piece of paper, and say, I owe $4,322 to blank lender, and my interest rate is 7%. And if I pay $300 per month over the next 13 or 14 months, I'll be paid off. Just saying that out loud, getting it on a piece of paper, that's a freeing experience, because now it's no longer in the back of your head trying to do all the other things, whether you are a parent or an employee, a spouse, what have you. Get your money on a piece of paper so that way you can just free up your mind to think about other stuff.
Mhm,
And to take it a step further, set up whatever that number is automatically from your direct deposit. Does that take some doing? Yes, it does. It takes some doing going into your employer and saying, I'm going to not force, but push this X amount of dollars into this account. And I would also take it another step further and name that account to say, this is my debt free account, and make it real fun. So that way, in case you are, let's say, out and you want to have some fun, you don't want to pull money from your debt-free account, because your debt-free account is designed to feed into those credit card bills. And I say all that to say, sometimes when you make a payment towards your credit card, it doesn't always pull the same day. And creating a new account allows that money to sit there, and it's just going to be there until the credit card company decides to pull it. And sometimes it's 5 days later, but that way you are not incurring additional debt, additional fees. So I talked about a few different things here, but they all work together.
yeah. And I think, if, for example, you had a $5,000 balance, you had to pay it off in a year for that 0%, you'd wanna just be setting up about $420 a month to in those auto payments, and, it can be, done a couple different ways, scheduling those auto payments. You can do it from the credit card side, or you can do it from your bank side. I always
Yes,
prefer to do it from the bank side because I like to control what's going on. Um, but yeah, I definitely think that, that is the way to go for making good progress toward your debt. And you can always
absolutely.
go in and cancel a payment if you need to, and
Hmm.
adjust it down to the minimum if there's a month that it doesn't work out. So,
Yeah.
um, all right. So, another kind of important concept to be aware of is something called decision paralysis. And that's when we know that there's a lot of information and you're just not sure what's the best thing to do. So you just don't make any decision. Um, this slide has a lot of information on it. It's kind of funny that itself. However, what I want to kind of talk to you about is where it comes from. The Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, the federal agency, which was set up to help with consumers' needs, did some research into what makes us as Americans have experienced financial wellness or that feeling that we're secure and happy with our financial well-being. And it requires certain things in the present and certain things in the future. And those are security, both in the present and the future, and freedom of choice. So, what does that look like? Right now, in order for me to have security day to day, I need to have some sense that I know what's happening with my money. You might not have a super, super precise budget. Different people want to budget every dollar. Other people want to know that generally their expenses cost this much a month, and then other money is, for other things. So it's up to you how you do your budgeting, but you do want to have a sense of what your inflows and outflows are and be in control of that, and not have that chaotic feeling like, oh, am I going to overdraw? Um, and the future long-term goal, that security looks like that capacity to absorb a financial shock. Like something has happened and you need to have some money set aside. So the way right now you can contribute to your future self and you can look back at yourself and pat yourself on the back is if you are building up that emergency fund. If you don't already have 3 to 6 months in your emergency fund, just having something going in there regularly every month is going to set you up better. And even small amounts make a huge difference. There was also in that same research, they learned that if Americans had $1,000 extra in a savings account, that they felt a huge amount of stress come off of them. It doesn't sound like that much money. It's probably not 1 month's expenses even, but just getting there makes a huge difference in how you feel in your day-to-day life. So if you're not there yet, you can think about that. And then in the present, what does freedom of choice looks like? It looks like being able to make some choices, to not feel like someone else is deciding how I use my money. Maybe I am a little bit of the money status person, and I do want to have a certain, I don't know, handbag. You can tell I'm not a fashion person. I don't know what I want, but say that's something that's important to me, then I want to have that freedom of choice to be able to do that. Oh, okay, I'll give an example. I'm going to see Beyonce.
Oh,
And yeah, without
yeah.
spending some money. A friend of mine called me up and she was like, "Hey, this is crazy, but can you come down to New Jersey and see Beyonce with me?" And I looked at my calendar. I'm like, yes, I can. I had that freedom because I had some money saved, and it was like, okay, I can make a choice in the present, and then in the future, freedom of choice is, I have enough saved for my retirement in the future, so that when it comes up on whatever date or whatever dollar amount I have that. I can make a choice. Do I want to stay another 6 months because I'm really excited about this project I'm doing at work? Or do I want to retire right now? I can choose because I have the amount of money in the bank. If I don't have that saved in my retirement, what I need, I might find I have to work no matter what. I don't have the freedom of choice anymore. I was like, oh no, I have to work another 5 years because, and life happens. It does happen to all of us. So, however, as much as you can give that to yourself in the future, it's going to really help you. Uh,
Absolutely.
and decision paralysis goes well with pre-commitment. If you set aside time to talk to someone, to come to a webinar like this, or watch one of our things on YouTube or one of our past webinars that sounds like it's the most relevant based on where you are. We're also going to give you the resource for Green Path. So we're going to give you some next steps where you come off this webinar and you might say, okay, this is the next thing I would do to improve um, my financial well-being. So that's what that is about.
Also, before we take a minute, I do want to like kind of touch on what you said, Jen, and
Yeah.
give everybody who's here right now, give yourself a quick pat on the back,
Yeah,
because if you're here, it means you recognize that you're in a certain position, and you recognize, okay, I'm here, but I want to be here, or I want to be here or somewhere else, and you've taken an active step to move towards that. So even if you don't take another step tomorrow, the fact that you took a step today is meaningful.
yeah, you took a step today, that's right. Uh, and, Terrence, I think you were gonna give us an
Yeah,
example of tunneling.
tunneling.
Uh,
So tunneling is focusing only on the emergency slash need at hand. And my example for this is 2 months ago, February 1st, I was in a car accident. I'm okay, but it led to me purchasing a new car, full real goal. But it was a lot. It was an emergency because I wasn't expecting to get into a car accident. No one does. And my car was a total loss, and I use my car for work on a regular basis. I'm always kind of zooming in and out of the city, going to events and whatnot. And I'm aware that tunneling is a thing that happens. And for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to zoom in, and how do I quickly throw money at this problem to say I need it to go away? Do I jump into a car as soon as possible? And thankfully, very honestly, I spoke to Jen, I spoke to Ty, my team, and I was like, hey, this is what's going on for me. And Jen was very clear and said, take a minute. Take a minute, explore your options, and don't just like buy the first thing you see. And it helped me zoom out. And she was like, you don't have to immediately change things, and there's a lot of flexibility where I could work from home, I was remote and whatnot. And it gave me the wherewithal to say, okay, what's going on here? Not only that, because I had an emergency fund, I was able to pay the deductible, which for me was $500. And it wasn't like a thing of, oh no, I need to get the cash. It was, all right, I have it here, transfer, here go insurance company. And when it came to getting a rental, no issues at all. But I know that if I've been in positions before where having $500 was not just a thing I could do, but because I had been saving, it was a time in my life where I realized, oh, I'm not as bad as I thought, and things are okay. So knowing my timeline and knowing I didn't have to rush to get a car as soon as possible allowed me to compare, shop around a little bit, and I ended up getting a nice 2021 Honda HR-V, which was is perfect. It's great, it's reliable, and it gets me where I want to go. And communicating with my team and communicating with the insurance company, yes, that's not the most fun thing to do, but it allowed me to gain insight into, all right, how do I really make this work, and how do I make this happen for me? And that's tunneling. That's how you counteract tunneling, and that's how you can help zoom out. Communication and talking with trusted people about your problems. You'll gain perspectives about different things, and you might learn something that you didn't think was necessary, but turns out was actually the golden nugget that you needed the entire time.
mhm, yeah, uh, makes
Uh,
sense. I think
yeah,
that's a really good example, and, I think you're also gonna talk to us about
mental accounting. Yeah.
exactly.
So mental accounting is treating money differently depending on the source and destination. So with this, my favorite example is tax returns, especially because we all tax time just passed 15 or so days ago, and refunds might be coming in now if you filed on the later side, where if you treat that money differently depending on the source and destination. So if you got that windfall of tax return and you say, oh, this is free money or a windfall or money that I wasn't planning on getting, and then saying I'm going to splurge or throw it all towards, not even splurge. I'm going to say throw it all towards my debt or throw it all towards something. Don't do that, because that actually might hurt you more than help you. If the best way to treat that newfound windfall of money is to bracket it out and put it in the same other buckets that you already have going. So that way it becomes a leg up for everything at once, whether it's a little bit more towards your debt that you weren't expecting to put on your debt, a little bit money into your emergency fund, or maybe even, and yes, also a little bit of money for yourself. So that way you can, yes, enjoy and have a good time with the money that you earn, because it's valuable to do that. And to use mental accounting for your benefit, as I mentioned earlier, when it came to paying down debt and naming an account, debt free account, name your savings accounts. And what that does is it creates a level of emotional attachment towards your account. So that way, in case an emergency happens and you are feeling tunnel vision from the last slide and you say, oh, I'm going to pull from this account so that way I can make this emergency go away. If you have a money status or money worship personality, there's a moment of friction to say, maybe I don't want to pull from my vacation account. Maybe I don't want to pull from my debt free account. And if you're pulling from debt from account 3319 or 3323, you don't have that moment of pause. So building in some intentional friction so that way you have the chance, the wherewithal, and the mindfulness to say, do I really want to do this? And if the answer is yes, by all means, that's cool because at least you thought about it, but it prevents the impulse. And that's what we're looking to do and looking how to prevent mental accounting and prevent mental shortcuts for unexpected money. Uh, Next one, scarcity. This is fun because this is being motivated to buy because of shortage. And I I'm going to make a very broad general stroke and assumption here and say we all are familiar with Amazon and we all have purchased something on Amazon online and we all have seen when we're out checkout or we're scrolling and we see buy now because there's one left or buy now because there's two left and feeling that subtle change in heart rate being like, oh, I have to purchase now because I want to get this thing at this price and I might come back later and it might be more expensive or I might not be able to get it. Nope, it's all a lie. It's all just marketing tactics. It's just big blatant lie where they are looking to prey on that sense of scarcity to make you act without thinking. So, one great trick and rule that I have is if I cannot buy three, if I cannot comfortably afford three of this item, I'm not going to buy one. And to take it a step further, wait. If you like that thing and what you can do is put it in your cart. Put in your cart for 24 hours. And if you come back to it tomorrow and you're like, I don't really need this, cool. That's great. And one last tip to counteract scarcity is to not have your credit card or debit card saved on your phone so that way you are preventing yourself from the one click buy. I have my wallet in my car. So if I'm late at night, scroll on Instagram or scroll on Amazon, and I see something that's cool, and I see, ooh, I want to buy that. I have to get out of bed or off the couch and go out in the cold and get my wallet. And I'm lazy, and I don't do that. So I save money. So this is it's fun, but it's very, very real. It's a practical way to say I'm not going to succumb to the feelings that I have in the moment because I have some long-term goals that I want to achieve, and they're more important than the quick dopamine hit right now.
Mhm. And, yeah, I think that anything you can do to create that friction is great, or make it so that you're not seeing the ads. So I do a lot of unsubscribing from
Mm,
emails, and, sometimes also, like, hiding advertisers on, different, platforms because I've just decided, I don't wanna see any more of these ads. I get sucked into this whole idea of myself, which is not even necessarily what I need or want. But they're selling you sometimes a lifestyle or this, something, and I'm like, "Maybe I could be the kind of person who" whatever.
yeah, yeah.
And then I'm like, "No, I'm not creating a whole other alternative gen. Sorry." One's enough. Um, so, yeah, I do a lot of that, like, just trying to, keep away from advertising that I'm gonna find tempting,
Mhm,
whatever your thing might be. Um, so, yeah, I think that those are all great tips. Thank you, Terrence.
of course.
And, um I did wanna talk about the what the heck effect. This is our last sort of psychology piece we wanted to share with you, and this is just the thing that can happen to us where, say I have that goal of saving $1,100 before my trip, something happens, and I end up not being able to put into savings for several months. I did it for the first 6 months, but then I haven't done it. Well, that happens. Failure is part of success. and we sometimes are really hard on ourselves. And one of the things you have to realize is you're still in a better position by having done it for 6 months. I saved, maybe $600 during that 6 months. And that's going to make me so much better off than if I waited till the very end and just put it all on a credit card. So remember that nobody gets everything right about their finances right away. Um, so it's normal to have some bumps in the road. I'll call them bumps or even failures.
Hmm.
And that's okay. So just kind of being aware in your head that there is this phenomenon where it's like, oh, I failed once, so never mind, that whole thing didn't work.
Hmm.
It doesn't need to be that way. So
Same here. I fail consistently, and I talk about this stuff. I teach this stuff, and I still have credit card debt. I'm not completely debt free, but there's a path,
you're on
and
your way. And
exactly.
yeah, that's the thing, is like to know that we're all on different paths, but hopefully we're all on a path toward financial wellness and feelings of, security and being in a better place about our finances than we were yesterday.
Hmm. And
Um,
I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera now, Jen. And thanks for having me.
yeah. So I did promise that I would leave you all with this kind of key feature that is available to you. GreenPath is a partner of ours. They are a nonprofit, and they provide free counseling to improve your credit score, free counseling to create a budget or to manage your budget, free student loan counseling. They're certified student loan counselors. They're certified HUD housing counselors. So if you're thinking about buying a home or you want to think about your budget, like what are the expenses about being a homeowner or that kind of thing, and you want to redo your budget, GreenPath can help with that. So there's a lot of things that they can do. They're available in multiple languages, and I've put the link in the chat also. If you are not sure how to implement any of the things we talked about here today, but you do want to take another step forward, I really recommend GreenPath. Again, they're free. You do not need to be a member of the credit union to utilize GreenPath. So, at the beginning, we told you about how great the credit union is. It is. However, you don't have to be a member to just being here. You can use it. If you share this link with your family, they can use it. So if there's anyone you're concerned about that's dealing with debt, they do debt counseling. So please feel free to reach out to GreenPath, make a plan with them, and get individual financial counseling because it can really help. Just a disclaimer, this is not, none of this, what we've done is here is tax, legal, or investment advice. I think that's obvious. We are going to send you all the registrants this survey link, but you can go ahead and visit it now if you like and give us, as Terrence said, we really appreciate just your honest feedback about what could be better in these webinars or workshops that we do. So I'm also putting it into the chat. So please do fill out a survey for us. And we appreciate you. We appreciate you for coming and taking time out of your day. We are going to send you the slides as well. Here's our email and our website. We're Harvard FCU now on all the socials. So please keep in touch with us. And if you do follow us, you'll get repeated reminders about different things about your finances that could be helpful. So it can be nice to do that. Especially we've had a lot of tips and tricks on Instagram. So thank you for coming. And that's going to conclude our presentation today. If anybody had a question, last minute question, go ahead and pop it in. Other than that, we're going to say thank you to everybody for coming, and glad that you took this time for your financial wellness today. Thank you.